Hi everyone, Nick here from INEOS Team UK. Today I'm cooking a batch recipe of tomato and basil sauce with some sweet and sour red onions, which you can put into your freezer so you can put it out in batches for when you're cooking or anything you want for a nice homemade tomato and basil sauce. So the lovely ingredients we picked up from the supermarket: fresh tomatoes, some lovely on the vine plum baby tomatoes, some of the red onions there, some thyme, some garlic, fresh growing basil, balsamic vinegar, some brown sugar and some olive oil, salt and pepper for seasoning, and some tomato passata and some veg stock we're going to use later. We're at this stage, the pan is on, getting a bit of warmth into it. Then we've cut the onions down, so nicely sliced onions. So there's 3 sliced onions there, 6 cloves of garlic just sliced down. You can add as much garlic or as little garlic as you want, down to your taste. Some chopped thyme, maybe about a quarter of a bunch of chopped thyme there, just nicely sliced down, some thyme. We've got the balsamic vinegar ready to go, some olive oil which we're going to put in the pan, and the brown sugar. So what we're going to do, we're going to get olive oil in the pan, a good drizzle of olive oil in there. Put our onions in, your onions and your garlic all in together. Start it off on a bit of a higher heat, and then you turn it down once you've got your other ingredients in, and just really let that cook down nice and slow. We're just breaking those onions down a bit with your spoon. Mix all those ingredients in lovely together. So as this cooks down slowly, the natural sugars of the onion will come out. And that'll start browning off lovely, and just get a bit of colour into those onions first before you add any sugar or balsamic into it. Okay, we're going to let those cook down for a bit. Okay guys, so the onions have been cooking now for about maybe 7 or 8 minutes. Just cooking down nicely, slowly, not too high, sort of a medium heat. And we're at this point now where they've gone nice, they've got a little bit of colour on them, but they've gone a little bit translucent as well, so they're nicely getting softened up a little bit. Firstly, we're going to go in with the brown sugar. Give that a good stir in and let that dissolve into it. Add a little bit of salt and pepper at this point as well in a second. Mix that in lovely. You can turn the heat back up a little bit now just to get that sugar to melt into those onions. So just a little bit of salt and some pepper into there. Mix that in a little bit. See that sugar is dissolving in there now. We're going to get some lovely flavours into there now. When we get to that point, we're going to add the balsamic vinegar. Sorry, the amount of sugar I put in there was 75 grams of brown sugar. And we're going to put 100 mils of balsamic into this. Right. So there we go. So sweet and sour onions are on, lovely. So we're going to just get that nice and hot, get that bubbling, and then we're going to turn the heat right down and just let those onions cook out. It'll go like a bit like a chutney, sort of a jam consistency. It's exactly what we want. We want them nice and sticky. And then we're going to add those to the tomato sauce later and add a lovely flavour to our tomato sauce once we've blitzed that down. What I'm also going to do, these cherry tomatoes, we've got lovely on the vine cherry tomatoes here. I'm going to cut those up into sort of quarters or halves, and we're going to add those to the onions later and just let them cook down a little bit, and that'll add some more lovely tomato flavour into those onions. Okay, so there's the onions and with all the balsamic and the sugar in nicely just cooking down now. We'll turn that down and we'll come back to that a bit later. Okay, so we're going to start the tomato sauce now. So I've got a pan on there with a good drizzle of olive oil in there. I've prepped everything down, so we've got our tomatoes all roughly chopped. You don't have to worry about chopping them too much, just give them a good rough chop up. Then we've got, so there's a kilo of tomatoes there. Then we've got 3 long or banana shallots chopped up there, 4 cloves of garlic, a little bit of thyme again, and half of my growing basil, as you can see, I've used on that. And then some tomato passata ready to go. So we're just going to add the shallots into the pan with the garlic and the thyme first. Leave the basil out for the minute. Now give that a good stir. So just going to brown those up a little bit, get a little bit of colour onto them, and then let them cook out a little bit till they go nice and translucent. I don't want too much colour on those though. You just want to get them just so they're just going translucent and just turning a nice light golden brown on a medium heat really. My veg stock ready to go there as well. So we're just going to add the tomatoes onto that in a minute. Okay, so they're cooking down nicely now. Just starting to lightly brown and go a translucent colour. And now I'm just going to add a touch of tomato puree into that, just for a little bit of texture really, just to give it a nice tomato flavour. Just a good... Okay, so just give that a nice... Cook that out just for about 30 seconds, just to get those shallots coated in that nice tomato flavour. See how that's coming along nicely now. We've got a little bit of catching on the bottom, that's fine. Then we're going to add our tomatoes in. See that juice coming in there as well. Everything, just whack it all in, preferably in the pan, not on the table like I've just done there. Okay, give that a good stir around. Right, turn the heat up onto that a second. Just get those tomatoes cooking down. Mix all that shallot, lovely flavour into that. And just get that cooking down nice until it goes, the tomatoes start breaking down a bit, and then we'll get to the next stage after that. You can see at the back there, my onion, sweet and sour onion mix is coming along nicely. The balsamic is just reducing down lovely, and it end up getting to a lovely stickiness that will eventually. Before it gets to that stage, we'll add on the vine plum and cherry tomatoes into it. Okay, so the tomatoes are really coming down nicely now. We've got down to, like I said, they're just cooking down, starting to break down a bit now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more ingredients into that now. I'll add a little bit of brown sugar in that, just as a seasoning, nothing else. We're just going to use it as a seasoning, like you would salt. Just a couple of pinches of that. Some red wine vinegar. Just another good dash really. That'll help bring the flavour of the tomatoes out. A little bit of salt and pepper. Again, like I said before, just a little bit to bring the flavours out at the moment, and then you can adjust the seasoning at the end when you've cooked it out. Okay, give that a stir, mix those ingredients in. Right, then I'm going to add 500 grams of tomato passata, just for a good thickness really. It adds good body to the sauce in your carton there. Give that a swish around. Make sure you're getting all the lovely flavour out there. And then that basil that I chopped up earlier, I'm going to put that in now, and then I've got half the bunch of that basil left to add at the end. And now we're going to add our stock, our vegetable stock. So we've got 500 ml of vegetable stock. Add that in. Right, give that a stir. Right, what we're going to do now is we're going to get that up to the boil. We're going to bring that to the boil. Then we're going to turn it down to a simmer and just leave that to cook gently out. That's probably going to take, I'd say, once we've cooked all of that out, it's going to take a good hour, maybe an hour and 15, hour and 20 minutes, just to get the consistency you want. So the tomato sauce is now bubbling away nicely. So we're going to turn that right down to a lovely gentle simmer. And then we're going to add our tomatoes, our lovely on the vine cherry tomatoes, into our onions. So they can carry on cooking down with the onions. Just another lovely flavour in there. And they're going to cook down with those onions, make a lovely base, and then we'll add our tomato sauce into that. That'd be beautiful. Okay, so the sauce has been cooking out for about 45-50 minutes now, so it's not far off. Let me have a look at that now. So the consistency's nice, the tomatoes maybe just a bit longer, so I'm probably going to give that another 20 minutes, and then that'll be ready. And then we've got the onion, the sweet and sour onions with the tomatoes in here. So that's lovely and gone to a lovely sort of chutney stage now. The tomatoes are just starting to break down and they're nice and soft. So that would be lovely when we add the sauce into that. Loads of flavour in there. Okay, so the sauce is now cooked. Finished off. I'm just going to allow that to cool for a good half an hour before I blitz it, because I don't want to put it into a food blender really hot in case there's any accidents. So just allow it to get the heat out of it a little bit, and then we'll blitz it up and add it to our sweet and sour onion mix. Okay guys, so here is the finished sauce. It's a lovely consistency. I've just thrown the basil in, the fresh basil, which I'm just stirring in, which I chopped a second ago. I'm just going to adjust the seasoning. You can see the tomatoes and the onions in there. Love.